In an interesting development for the gaming industry, the creators of Fortnite have been sued by the creators of PUBG. From the BBC, Fortnite sued for copying rival game PUBG. The makers of Fortnite, one of the world's most popular video games, have been accused of copying rival titles PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. The studio behind PUBG has asked the court in South Korea to determine whether Epic Games copied its intellectual property. Fortnite and PUBG have both attracted millions of gamers with their huge, last player standing online battles. Epic Games has not yet commented on the lawsuit. PUBG was first released in March of 2017, and it was inspired by the Japanese thriller Battle Royale, in which a group of students is forced to fight to the death by the government. In PUBG, up to 100 players parachute to an island, search for weapons, and kill one another until one player remains. Fortnite was first released in July of 2017, but its Battle Royale mode was not added until September of 2017. The game also sees up to 100 players land on an island, search for weapons, and kill one another until one player is left standing. However, Fortnite additionally lets players gather wood, metal, and bricks to build defenses. Both games have proven hugely popular. In February, Epic Games said Fortnite had broken the world record with 3.4 million people playing at once, the previous record having been held by PUBG with 3.3. However, analysts suggest the popularity of PUBG has waned since January, while Fortnite continues to attract more players. PUBG confirmed it had applied for an injunction against Epic Games Korea in January. We filed a suit to protect our copyright, the company told the Korean Times. Behind the scenes, the two companies have an existing business relationship as PUBG is built on the Unreal gaming engine, which was developed by Epic Games. According to Bloomberg, PUBG has generated sales of up to $1.3 billion, while Fortnite is free to download. Players can buy OK. And analysts suggest the game generates more than $200 million a month. So, what to make of this? Well, I'm not fond of the idea of a game developer suing another because they have similar gameplay. Because guess what? There's a lot of games, video games, across the industry that do have similar gameplay to one another. And I feel that's generally fine. Now, one could make an argument that Fortnite was trying to copy or PUBG there with its Battle Royale mode. I mean, so is Call of Duty. Think on that for a second. Call of Duty is also doing that. Though maybe the similarities are a bit too much between PUBG and Fortnite for the developers to just leave that standing. Or who knows, maybe the developers of PUBG, maybe the creators of PUBG just feel that that they deserve a bigger share of the pie, so to speak. And it's true, PUBG has lost some of its popularity, in part because other games are moving in to cash in on the large number of players that clearly are interested in a Battle Royale mode in their games, or a Battle Royale video game in general. So clearly, that's something that does attract a significant number of players, and it's certainly an interesting way of doing shooters. It's a lot better than what most shooters are about, and I would prefer if video games continued in that direction as opposed to having the creators of PUBG sue Epic Games just to earn a quick buck, in a sense. Now, whether or not they win, that's unknown to me. I mean, I don't really know how the legal system in South Korea works, so if I were to guess, to make an educated guess, I'm pretty certain that they sued them in Korea because they likely would not have won in, say, the United States against Epic Games. And taking on Epic Games, no matter how big of a company you are, when you're using their engine, not exactly the greatest of ideas, if I'll be quite honest here. I think that to an extent, they're kind of screwing around, and they're going to piss a lot of people off with what they're doing here. Obviously, they do have people that will defend what they're doing, but at the end of the day, I think there's going to be a lot of gamers that just look at that and say, yeah, you're going too far. You're being a bit greedy, aren't you? I mean, you're a cash cow has dried up, and now, in part because obviously there's other games doing what you're doing, and now you just want to find a way to salvage the situation to your own benefit at the detriment of games as a whole. Now, I do feel games shouldn't copy other games too much, but, if we have something that's great, and it is great, what Battle Royale is, then obviously you want to see that in more games, not just limited to one game, not just dictated by one developer. And I certainly don't feel that, for all the good that the company behind PUBG has done, I certainly don't feel that they deserve that kind of power to decide or to, win this kind of a lawsuit, because that would change not just the situation with PUBG, but with many other video games. I mean, if you start seeing lawsuits between gaming companies, like, oh, you copied my game mechanics in this game, or you copied my user interface, they're making an accusation, I believe, as well, and so on and so forth, then I think that puts the gaming industry in a bad situation. Look, it's easy to complain about this idea, well, the gaming industry doesn't really innovate and all that, and that's true. To an extent, I think that there is a great deal of stagnation, especially among AAA titles. I do think there's a lot of copying among AAA titles, and that is, to an extent, detrimental to the gaming industry. But it's also detrimental, I feel, to the gaming industry if someone makes a cool thing, a cool game, and then no one can make something similar like that. Though maybe in Fortnite's case, the mode is too similar. But no one can make something too similar, or else they'll get sued and they'll lose in court. To be fair, I'm pretty certain that, given the way tech companies work in general, I'm fairly certain that what will end up happening, unless one side or both sides really want to stick it in, I think that there will be some kind of settlement. And I'm actually worried about that as well. Because I think if you start seeing those kind of settlements in the gaming industry, then that's also a problem. Though, this might just be a unique case because Fortnite is very popular and it also came out shortly after PUBG, so that might be something worth considering as well. When it comes to this particular case, I don't think the creators of PUBG would have seen it as big of a problem if it had been later down the line. But now they probably feel it's cutting into their bottom line, and they want to take action to prevent that from doing too much damage. I disagree with what they're doing, obviously, but I can understand to an extent why obviously they've taken the course of action that they have. But again, as I've said before, I find it highly unlikely that they would win, say, in a U.S. court or in other countries. We'll see what the Korean courts decide on the subject. It's going to be an interesting case to watch. And, especially if one side or another or both of them really decide to go through all of it to the end instead of just settling this whole thing between them, which is, in my opinion, the most likely outcome. So, just something to bear in mind when it comes to all of this. And yes, PUBG is losing popularity. I don't think it's just purely because, there's other games doing it. There's Fortnite doing it. No, I just think that after a point, when it comes to a game like PUBG, you just kind of have enough of it. And after that, of course, you just move on to other stuff. And if there's something similar, but that makes some changes, spices up the formula, then that's obviously what a lot of people are going to go for. And that's probably one of the reasons why Fortnite is so popular for quite a lot of players. And since obviously a lot of money is generated through in-game purchases, then that's something that the developers of PUBG want to avoid. So that's really all I had to say on the subject. Again, very interesting case. I don't think we've seen many cases within the gaming industry where this has happened, really. At least not such a high-profile case between, a very high-profile company like Epic Games, and then you have, obviously, the creators of PUBG. So, remains to be seen what the outcome will be. unknown at this time, or what kind of settlement they'll agree to, or whatever decision is made. Costin here on Serious Gaming signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more, and if you like my content, do consider supporting me via PayPal or Patreon.